Good morning, everybody. It's Rick. A long time no see, about 2 weeks. Today is June 13th, 2018. If you need to reach me, my email is rick, R-I-C-K, 0327 at me.com. It will be in the description. Sorry about that. I should do that before I do this, but anyway, all right. I've been getting some emails from people, and what's happening is when you're given an opportunity to be in front of a judge, it's a huge opportunity, huge, because I can tell you this: when they believe that you know what you're doing, they will do everything they can to avoid talking to you. And I could give you an example of myself. My video on here when I'm speaking to the judge. That judge did not allow me to speak to him anymore after that. I filed a couple of order to show causes, and the court officer would come outside and say, "No, Rick," like basically, like he doesn't want to speak to me because I boxed him in, and that's the reason why I got my order vacated. Okay, so what I put together here are some slides for you guys, because what you need to do is you have to speak confidently. And here's what you need to understand, guys. Every minute of the day, everywhere you go, from the moment you were born to the moment you die, you have inalienable rights. Okay, what are inalienable rights? Inalienable rights are rights given to you by God. Okay, a mistake a lot of people make is they believe that they get rights from the Constitution. No, the Constitution secures your rights. Okay, you have a right to be left alone. You have a right to defend yourself. Okay, you have a right to your property. You have a right to be judged by your peers. You have a right to due process. Okay, you have a right to question your accuser. Okay, these are all God-given rights. And when a judge, when a bag of shit judge, fake judge, justice of the court says to you that you have no rights or the Constitution doesn't, apply here, that is an outrageous statement. And you have to jump all over that statement. Wait a second. Are you telling me I have no rights? Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me I have no rights? Did you really say that in this room? I do have rights. And you are trespassing upon my rights right now. And here's another thing. You want to bring a witness with you if you can. Here in New York State, the criminals here, they put us in a very small room most of the time. Like with me, they at the end they started putting me in a nice big courtroom, but that's because they had to have 4 or 5 court officers in there because they were afraid of me. They tried to label me as some violent guy because I'm a big guy. I'm like 6 foot, 265. I used to lift weights a lot, and they tried to label me but it didn't work. Um, but most of the time they have you guys in a small room because they don't want any witnesses. Try and bring witnesses if you can. It's very important. You should never go to court without a witness. If you can, also when you go file papers, bring a witness. All right. All right. So I got some slides here of what to say. All right. Also, been having some few people having some success. I'm not going to get into it. Just take my word, guys. I'm not here to lie to you guys. A few people have gotten their credit straightened out using my paperwork. I have credit paperwork as part of my package. And here's the thing: if you have your credit is clear, that means you owe no money. You understand? That's another instrument, a weapon, evidence to prove that you don't owe any money. So let's say your employer is taking your money, and you have proof from the credit agency you don't owe any money. You could present that to your employer. All right. Also, You have to, if you get anything in the mail from the credit agency, you have to send them a warning to leave you alone. All right, and I put together something for that. All right, all right. So listen, let's get to this. All right, I don't have much time. Uh, okay, when given a chance to speak to a judge, it's a very important opportunity to invoke your rights and show court you know your rights. I am invoking all my rights and privileges in this court. All right. Again, I just told you guys before, you got to question the judge. Like again, I what? You're telling me I have rights. I have inalienable rights and you have absolutely no authority to take them from me. And you are vacating your office and you're violating your oath. Okay? All right, the definition of a judge or a justice under 28 USC. All right, I'm not a big believer in the statutes, but when they have definitions that benefit us, we might as well use them. Okay, 28 USC section 451. The term judge in the United States includes judges of the courts of appeal, district courts, court of international trade, which, by the way, that is the true Article 3 court right there. A lot of these federal courts are Article 1 courts impersonating an Article 3 court. Okay? What happened was because the United States does a lot of business with other countries, the other countries would not do business with us unless they had the opportunity to take us to court. That's why we have a court of international trade. The judges of which are entitled to hold office only during good behavior. So as soon as a judge acts in violation of their oath and the Constitution, they are vacating their office and they are no longer acting in good behavior. All right, and they lose their lifetime appointment. This is the federal judges, by the way. All right, not the state judges. All right, that's not important. All right, not important. All right, the judge oath of office requires support of the Constitution. The 14th Amendment protects against state laws that deprive rights secured by the Constitution. Any law that deprives you of your rights secured by the Constitution, they are void. And you can say that in an open court. Well, the child support, whatever code, whatever, you're not entitled to trial by jury. I am entitled to a trial by jury. I don't care what your law says, it's void. And you're trespassing upon my rights. All right. Here is an adjudicated, what do you call it? An adjudicated fact. The Constitution deals with substance, not shadows. Okay, it means facts. Its inhibition was leveled at the thing, not the name. It's intended that the rights of the citizen should be secure against deprivation for past conduct by legislative enactment. Okay? They cannot create any law to take this away under any form, however disguised. You get it? You know how many laws, how many color of law? That's what a color law is. It looks like a law, but it's baseless because it doesn't act in pursuance of the Constitution. There are probably millions of unconstitutional laws out there, probably. All right, and the ones that are being used against us are unconstitutional. All right, so you can read this. I'm moving along. All right, this is 28 USC 453, oaths of justices and judges. All right, this is very important. All right, each justice or judge of the United States shall take the following oath or affirmation before performing the duties of his office. Okay, a lot of people try and ask for the oath of office. If you're in open court, ask. Okay, ask. You won't get it, but ask. All right, I got to show you guys something very important. Remember, guys, I told you guys about getting your information on the internet, you got to be careful. All right. I have many subscribers who I gotta reel them in because they start adding some nutty stuff to their paperwork, and I used to also. Okay, I got caught up in that stuff too. All right, I've been doing this since 2012. All right, that's 6 years, and I've come to recognize that just stick to the facts and the evidence, and their laws, the Constitution works for us. Please don't get caught up in. Remember, I mentioned to you guys about the straw man stuff. Please don't get caught up in like well, the country went bankrupt in 1933. We have fiat money. Blah blah blah. Don't get caught up in that, please. And I'm going to give you an example why. All right, this is a case out of Texas. Okay, now what happened here was this guy here, Eric Kitchens, I believe he's a prisoner. And what happens with guys who are in prison, they have a lot of time and they go to the law library. Anyway, he uh, he had a case in a lower court, and he started making. What happened was he made a lot of good points, but then he mixed in some of these, what they want to call conspiracies. This is what they'll call a conspiracy. Okay, so that's why I tell you guys, don't ever mention the straw man stuff because they will laugh you out of court. So he mentioned some good stuff here, but he mentioned the other stuff, and the judge is implying here that he's a conspiracy theorist. And if he's making these baseless arguments, everything else doesn't matter. Okay, so he mentioned Crandall versus Nevada, that we have free access to the courts. Then he went into how the United States went bankrupt in 1933. The federal United States, there's two constitutions. There's the Constitution from I think it's 1781 to 91. That's the real Constitution. Then there's the 1867 one or 71, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's the Constitution of the United States. All right, it's in here. Kitchen states that he only deals in lawful money of the Constitution. All these things that makes him sound like a conspiracy nut. Okay, and he really did in some really good arguments. Okay, Kitchen says that the only lawful jurisdiction in a case is under common law and not vice admiralty. Okay, with the gold fringe on all that stuff. You see, remember I've had a lot of people do that, and I go, guys, don't get caught up with that, please. Don't, just stick to the facts. Now, if he didn't mention any of that stuff, this judge would have a hard time uh, shit canning this. Okay, and I'm not saying the guy's wrong, but these are arguments that really has no place. It's not going to. He would have to prove all of these things now instead of just sticking to what he's trying to prove. That's, remember I mentioned to you guys, don't add arguments that you got to prove. Okay? Yeah, the generic Constitution. All right? The Constitution gives Congress the power to make coin money. This is all true stuff, but they're not going to admit it in a court. Okay? Remember how many times I told you guys they're not gonna give credence to a global conspiracy. All right, I know all about the birth certificate being traded on the world stock market. I know all about it. They they stamp your feet when you're a baby. That means they own your soul. I know all of that stuff. I watched all the same videos as you guys. Here's another famous case: Rodriguez versus Donovan, which states that uh, all codes and rules. How many? I know many of you guys know this one. All rules, codes and rules and regulations for the government authorities only, not for us. In accordance, but again, and it's probably true, but this guy's claiming it's not this judge. That's why you must stick to the facts, please. Stick to the facts. Don't add any arguments. Okay, so here's the case. I want you guys to look it up. It's Kitchens versus Beecraft, District Court, ED. All right, this is a perfect example of why don't get sidetracked. Please, this supports my argument today. There's a lot of gurus out there, a lot of gurus who, and that's how I know they're talking out of their butt. You'd be shocked how many gurus out there have never been inside of a court. Shocked. Okay? Because what they're doing is they're just repeating what they've seen in videos. And by the way, there are a lot of videos out there just for this purpose, to get you sidetracked instead of just sticking to the facts. Okay? A lot of videos. I can't even tell you how many, because I told you guys I screen my comments, and I get all of these gurus telling me, oh, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, dude, have you tried this in court? Many of them say no. Okay? Well, take it from your friend Rick here. I tried a lot of these things, and it didn't get me anywhere. And it wasn't until I stuck to the facts, the evidence, and the Constitution that I got. And by the way, I'm having success. A lot of my people out there are having success, or causing judges and other personnel to commit crimes. I have a lot of lawsuits out there, possible lawsuits. People want to pursue it. Okay? All right, let's get back to this real fast. All right. All right, a lot of these judges are fake judges. They're practicing law from the bench. All right? A lot of times you'll find the judge defending the other party. So that what they're doing is they're practicing law from the bench. Anytime they're not citing evidence or a fact or witness, they're practicing law from the bench, and that disqualifies them. Disqualification, all right? What are inalienable rights? Are rights given to you by God. This means that the Constitution does not give you rights, right? I mentioned that earlier. The Constitution secures your inalienable right. That means that it's basically a contract. All right? There's a contract by the government. And by the way, the government you don't work for the government works for you. But again, applying these things in courts is very hard. All right? That's why again, stick to the simple stuff, guys. Really simple. Judges are sworn by oath to support and defend the Constitution, which means the judges are sworn to defend your rights. So again, excuse me, you're telling me I have no rights? What kind of a court is this? What kind of a judge are you? I do have rights, and you're trespassing upon them right now, and you're committing a crime. They are. All right, judge depriving me of my inalienable rights and violating it, that's a question. All right, challenging the judge's oath. All right, Cummings versus Missouri. Every person who is unable to take this oath is declared incapable. This is why a lot of these judges will not give up their oath. A lot of them don't have one. And technically, if they don't show you an oath, all their orders are void. Now, this also goes for council people, directors, trustees, commissioners. Okay, so if you want to bust chops, ask them for their oath of office. That I have no problem with. Do it. Ask them for their oath of office. Okay, here's the adjudicated fact. Oh, one other thing. Let me just show you something here that I meant to mention before. Now, you know how this guy Kitchens could have, because he called them baseless arguments. They're not baseless. If they're secured by an adjudicated fact, they're no longer baseless. It's been adjudged. It's been decided. But he obviously didn't do that, or the judge here is claiming he didn't. That's why it's very important to start learning to say, Judge, it's an adjudicated fact that, okay, and you cite the case law, the case, okay, it's very important, because that takes away the judge's discretion. Like right here, Crandall versus Nevada. If you just stated it's an adjudicated fact by the Supreme Court in Crandall versus Nevada that American citizens are allowed free access to the courts. That's it. Very simple. Okay? This guy was trying to make it sound like it's some nutty conspiracy. How could it be a nutty conspiracy if it's an adjudicated fact? Okay? All right. Moving on. Challenging the judge's oath of office. All right? Okay, case laws. Now, remember, I always talk to you guys about Lujan. Lujan versus Defenders of Wildlife. Very, very important case law for us. Okay, very important that you guys look at this. Okay, every petitioner must. Now, one of my people, see, here's another thing. What these judges do is they misrepresent these. See, when you use the right adjudicated fact, case law, then what they do is they'll misrepresent the meaning of it. So like right here, one guy was saying, well, that's only in federal case because it was in a federal court. No, all federal, let's put it this way. Let me make it even simpler for you. All Supreme Court decisions apply in state and federal courts. That's how you undo that. That's how you get this shitbag judge to swallow his or her words whenever they pull that nonsense. Okay, so as soon as you see this right here, Supreme Court, that means it applies in state and federal courts. Okay, the three constitutional requirements for standing are an injury in fact, proof that you caused it if you're the respondent, right? Between the injury and the conduct, and number three, that the injury will likely be redressed by a favorable decision. Okay, that means that there's a likelihood that they can prosecute. Well, if there are no witnesses and there are no evidence, how are they going to prosecute you? You understand? So without number one, you can't have number three, right? Okay, so I'm going to continue to move on here. All right, there it is. Very important decision for us. All right. Right, it applies in state and federal courts. Response to the judge right here. I have this for you guys. Right, and again, you guys can freeze this and look at it. I'm moving on. Be careful. Bring a witness. Okay, here's another thing, guys. You have to be careful. A lot of these judges are they're on a serious ego trip. And I don't want any of you guys getting arrested. Unless you want to. All right? Unless you want to. One time I was walking around in a serious depression because I was like convinced that I had to be arrested in order to get my case heard properly. And that was a big, big decision but I didn't have any confidence that the courts were going to work the right way because I felt that they would throw me on Rikers Island here for a few months to teach me a lesson because everybody's on the same team. The DA's office and everybody else involved. So, I never did it. Although, I did try a couple times to get arrested. It didn't happen. All right. So again, all right, I think it's very important that you try and record the hearings. Try and sneak in a recording device. All right, or if you bring a witness, have them record it. But don't make it obvious. Okay? Don't make it obvious. It's not illegal you cannot be arrested for bringing in a recording device. I'm not saying you won't be arrested, but I'm saying it's not illegal because the courts are considered public area and you're allowed to film in a public area. It's really that simple. There are people who got caught recording in the Supreme Court and nothing happened to them. Okay? Nothing happened to them. So that's the Supreme Court of the United States. All right? Be careful because court officers, sheriff, deputies, and bailiffs, they're really not the smartest people, guys. They are robots. They will follow any order, and they have been convinced that people like us who stick up for our rights are nothing but troublemakers and we're morons, basically. Acting confident is very important. Guys, you must believe. When you start acting timid and scared, you start asking questions, I thought I had rights. Instead of saying, I have rights, not saying, I thought I had rights in here. It's not going to work. You got to make that judge or fake judge justice believe that you know what you're talking about. All right? All right, so that's about the end of it, guys. All right, my email is rick, rick0327 at me.com. People have been having, I've got quite a few emails this week of people who had their credit cleared up. All right, so that's another thing. All right, I've added some new paperwork. It's not for free, guys. Okay. All right, if you're somebody who just got my paperwork within the last, 2 or 3 months, all right, hit me up. But if you're somebody who got my paperwork 6 months and long ago, again, I am not a club, guys. So when you send me money, it's not a membership. It's a gift. Okay, I put in I volunteer my time. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.